Is AI going to replace UI designers? Can AI replace UI designers? Probably not. Not until people learn how to accurately describe what they want. And it sparked two questions. Is there a good AI tool that designers can use now? Or maybe even non-designers? What? Crazy, I know. To find if there is a good AI tool that can generate decent UI designs, I've tried to create the same app design in 5 different tools. This way we can see those platforms, what they're capable of and what they're good for. Alright, let's look into Midjourney, a powerhouse in image generation and particularly favored by artists and creatives. Take a look at these images. They're pretty impressive, right? That's why I've decided to see what kind of UI it can generate. Also, it's the only tool from the list today that I've used before. Let's see if it's gonna help me. Quick side note, it's not a free tool. Subscriptions options start from $10 per month, and you need a Discord account in addition. The Discord thing may change soon, as it seems like they're working on their own interface. So while it wasn't available to me during the recording, it may be accessible by the time you watch this video. So check out their website. Okay, buckle up. Let's dive in. I began by exploring the Midjourney feed to understand how others approach UI design. And I noticed that most recent images use natural language. That was new. Previously, you would have to learn how to write prompts for Midjourney. I've decided to try both old style of prompts and a natural language one to see if it makes any difference. I've collected relevant bits of prompts into the text file for the future reference and took the plunge with the old school prompt style, starting with the minimum number of prompts and then gradually added additional details to see if they would improve things up. The outcome was hit and miss, but let's just say it wasn't exactly a home run. Having sunk for 40 minutes into this, I've decided to switch gears and see if I can find any wisdom online to improve my results. That's when I stumbled upon Midjourney Prompt Generator. This nifty tool not only fine-tunes prompts but also shows potential results. I started toying with style, chaos, and weirdness settings, beginning at absolute 0, then cranking those values up to the mid-range and finally pushing them to the limits. This led me to genuinely cool effects and fresh inspiration like this glowing effect. Now, an hour in, I've decided to bring natural language into the equation, and I fired up ChatGPT for the assistance. It delivered a quick and comparable outcomes, all without having to mess around too much with settings or prompts. While experience using natural language was great, I felt I had more control with old school prompts with values. So my sweet spot was mixing both in the same prompt. So I've spent a solid 1 hour and a half, but honestly I could have stopped half an hour earlier, or maybe even an hour earlier, because it was classic case of experimentation and running down the rabbit hole, which is, common with those tools. Now, the latest update does make things easier for newbies to communicate to Midjourney with the natural language. Let's be real, you still need to replicate those designs in a tool like Figma. But hey, if you are in the market for a nifty tool that will help you to generate imagery, photography, iconography, or just gain any inspiration, I think Midjourney is your jam. My favorite part that it makes everything look good. However, it's not the right tool to generate usable UI designs. The best it can do at this stage is to inspire. Given that Midjourney was not created specifically for UI designers, I decided to look into tools that are popular among UI designers, such as Figma and Adobe Suite. Starting with Figma, I tried an AI plugin called Magician. It's completely free and can be downloaded from Figma community. It was developed by Diagram, same company that created AI Design Companion, which looks very promising. However, it's currently in private beta and not accessible to me. Interestingly, they were noticed by Figma and acquired by them in 2023. So I would expect AI features available in Figma pretty soon. As I was working on this video, Figma revealed AI features in beta, which they took down a few days later due to some suspicious copywriting situation. We'll see how it unfolds. Figma CEO showcased many long-needed AI features, and some of them were similar to what the Magician plugin is offering. Things like layer renaming, text-to-image, text-to-icon. Let's see how those features perform as a Magician plugin. With all of this, makes my expectation very high for the Magician. Let's see if they're gonna be fulfilled. For the top part of the home screen, I wanted a background image, and I wanted to be placed behind the search bar. So I used the text-to-image to generate the asset for the background, and it was a mistake. Now I see those people in nightmares. Multiple tries didn't change the result. I pivoted and I went with something more forgiving to generate an image of a night city, which also took a number of iterations to get okay result. Text to icon AI was used next. The search bar and the favorite locations were good candidates to generate icons. Unfortunately, I was getting inconsistent results, and editing those icons would take forever. To be honest, I felt like using an icon library would be a much quicker and simple exercise. In addition to that, I had to adapt my designs to meet the look and feel of those icons, which is not ideal. The copywriting tool simply didn't work, as well as the layers rename feature didn't work neither. It simply showed me an error. Looks like the functionality of this feature was discontinued. And instead of doing 3 screens, I was able to create only one, which you just saw, and it took me 1.5 hours. So in conclusion, my expectations were completely unmet. I think it took me longer than if I would do designs myself. And instead of being helpful, it actually was quite limiting. The integration with Figma is a clever approach, no doubt in that. But the quality of the generated component was so poor that I recommend to stay away from it. I'm certain that Figma will enhance this feature, and I believe we'll see very soon the results that will speed up our process significantly as designers and potentially open up creative potentials in people out there who don't consider themselves as designers. I wouldn't be surprised if Figma releases new AI features this year, and I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. In the meantime, there are other tools that are worth checking out, and in some ways they are ahead of Figma's diagram, or Figma as it stands without any AI integration. Could it be our next tool that we're gonna look at? Maybe. Let's take a look at Adobe Illustrator. Why Illustrator? Well, at the point of recording, AI functionality was only available for Illustrator and Photoshop. Also, Adobe has no plans to further invest in Adobe XD, which is UI software. Neither Photoshop or Illustrator are appropriate tools for interface designs, but the latter creates a scalable vector graphics, hence a bit more appropriate for UI. Let's take a peek at its AI capabilities. I'll keep this one short, it was terrible. I used concise prompts and the result was all over the place. Illustrator offered 3 options to select from the preview. Unfortunately, any of those were far from ideal. Text, unreadable, shapes are all over the place. Then I've tried to expand on the prompt and that didn't help neither. Of course, I could have created each element individually, but to be honest, using icon library and components library would be much more efficient. In summary, it's not a tool to generate UI designs, but if you already have a subscription, you can try creating icons and some other assets. Otherwise, I recommend skipping it. Alright, our next tool is Uizard. Uizard? I'll call it Uizard. Uizard is a web-based design tool similar to Figma, but it has a quite strong AI integration, so you can design and generate UI designs. It's a one-stop shop where you can generate UI designs from text prompts, then edit them and hand them over to developers without leaving the platform, which is pretty handy. You can try it for free. They provide enough credits to see if it's the right tool for you. After that, they charge $12 on the annual subscription. When I started using Uizard, I was pleasantly surprised by the smooth onboarding process, which gave me a great overview of its key features. I headed over to Auto Designer, entered customized prompt, and within 15-20 seconds, I had a complete rideshare project. I was impressed. It generated multiple screens like login, registration, home, and profile, all seamlessly connected in a prototype right from the start. Plus, the titles, labels, and headers made sense. They were not just a random text. And on top of that, you can get an attention map or a heat map of what on the screen would attract user attention. You can also improve the text with AI assistant. And you know the best part? You can replace or edit any components there. However, it did need some manual tweaks. Some screens were duplicates, icons didn't always align with labels, illustrations were a bit messy, and the prototype had some quirky screen links. But overall, it was still pretty impressive. As I explored Uizard, I noticed two handy options: generate theme and generate screen. The theme generation updates colors across all designs in one go, which is super handy. Generate screen feature does what it says. It creates one screen at a time based on your text prompt. I described what screen should contain and created 3 screens: home, profile, and search results. The outcome was impressive. Not perfect, but a good starting point for further development. Can you imagine if it let you use your own component library? It would speed up the design process so much. Next, I wanted to see how screen generation based on the image would work. I used design from Midjourney to see if they can complement each other, but unfortunately, it struggled to identify most components. I've tried the same with a screenshot of a design from Dribble, and while the generated screen was a bit off, most components and text were there, and then I did a bit of refining to improve it. After that, I tested wireframe generation based on a sketch. The results were far off. Maybe my sketching skills needed some improvement, but the generated screen required a lot of editing, making this feature less useful for me. I've decided to refine the generated designs and I face some challenges. Unfortunately, editing in Uizard is somewhat basic, at this point at least. It lacks layers, auto layouts, and only offers a basic version of smart components without variables. Overall, it didn't feel precise. That being said, if I spend more time learning it, I could find workarounds for some of these limitations. I've worked with what I had, and this is my result. Towards the end, I discovered that my designs could be converted into CSS code, which is pretty handy. Additionally, if I needed to hire someone to help me, Uizard has a built-in expert functionality. This feature is super convenient for anyone looking to outsource their design work. Uizard really impressed me. It clearly shows the potential of artificial intelligence in design process. It's not perfect, but if you want to see what AI can do for UI designers, it's definitely worth checking out. If you're not a designer and you're looking for a tool to generate UI designs for you that can go straight to developers, Uizard unfortunately not there yet. It's getting there, but for now, I suggest you use it to generate ideas and then hire a designer to refine them, all within the same platform. While Uizard is a great tool and it has a great potential, it's trying to be a one-stop shop. I don't think its functionality is there yet to compete with intuitive and very powerful tool like Figma. Okay, the last tool I tried was Galileo AI. And in contrast to Uizard, it's trying to do one thing, but very well. And that one thing is quickly create UI designs that can be easily transferred to Figma for further refinements. They charge $19 per month, but the initial free credits were enough for me to create 3 screens with multiple iterations. Since I was using this tool for the first time, I visited the community gallery to see examples of generated UIs and their prompts. I was pretty impressed with the clean and simple UI it created, and it looks like that the other people use natural language style prompts, so I decided to give it a try. I started with a simple and short prompt, but the result was a bit off. However, after adding detailed descriptions of what I needed on the screen, it generated a very decent outcome. It closely followed my instructions and even correctly matched labels in the navigation icons. It also added details I hadn't specified but were still relevant, like a promotion with a 10% discount or a license plate in the driver's section. I noticed that you can actually edit created designs in Galileo AI, and to do that you need to describe what change you want to make and to which part of the interface you want to apply it. And I was super surprised to see that actually it understands what part of the interface you're talking about. Not always 100%, but in many instances it was pretty accurate. For example, it changed all the H2 to 24 points and made the tile for the favorites more compact when I asked. However, it didn't change the illustration's color palette and used photo style image instead of an illustration. After multiple rounds of changes, I realized that the further refinements can be done in Figma, so I moved on to generate other screens. To create the profile screen, tried the image to UI feature, using my sketch as a reference and adding detailed description. To my surprise, it also picked up things that I didn't include in the prompt, like my name and rating, which were in the sketch but not in the prompt. The quick theme editing feature allowed me to quickly change the color palette, fonts, and switch between dark and light themes, which is pretty cool. Transitioning to Figma was super easy. I just copied and pasted the screens I needed. In the Figma file, all the components are nicely grouped but not named, and they all have basic outer layout. Surprisingly, Galileo didn't have Figma plugin, which I think would be a natural step for them. All in all, it's a great tool, and I think because it's simple, reliable, easy to use, and you can edit things in Figma later on, makes it the best tool that I've seen so far. See what I was able to get to in an hour. Galileo generated the best looking UI that I've seen so far. Basic but polished with fewer mistakes to fix. I think this is a nifty tool not just for UI UX designers, but also for non-designers, as long as they know exactly what they want on the screen. It is an absolute must-have to check out, especially given the free subscription, which gives you plenty of credits to experiment. Alright, so I've created 5 different apps using those 5 different tools and their AI capabilities. Now I'm ready to go through each of them, summarize pros and cons, and rate them. And let's start with Midjourney. Alright, so Midjourney, where should I put it? I think it was definitely producing cool looking designs and screens, and it was good for inspiration, but you can't modify or edit those images, and sometimes it was sort of unpredictable as well as not detailed enough. However, Midjourney has this interesting, Midjourney always makes things look nice, and I think even if it's not for UI designers, you can generate some assets, pretty good assets with the stable results. So I think I would put it in C tier. Yeah, let's put it in the C tier. All right, next one is Magician, plugin for Figma that was done by Diagram, and Diagram was acquired by Figma. So let me see. I had very high expectation for this one. Unfortunately, they were not met, and it was pretty bad. Some functionality felt like it was discontinued, and maybe it's true because Figma is working on their AI capabilities, which I'm looking forward. But as it stands now, this plugin, I'll put it in D tier. Okay, next one is Adobe Illustrator. Maybe it's good enough to generate illustrations or some icons and some assets for UI, but definitely not great tool to generate UI designs. So I will put it in D tier. Yeah, I think out of all of the 5, Illustrator definitely was a miss. We've got 2 left, which is one of them Uizard and next one is Galileo. So Uizard, both of them were good, both of them worth checking out. Let's see, so Uizard was good because it was one-stop shop. You can edit things in there. It generates multiple flows in one go with one prompt. You can generate one screen with one prompt, so it had a lot of flexibility, and it was giving sort of a bit unstable result, but not too far off, and you can quickly edit just right there without using prompt, or using prompt if you want to. I really like quick theme. It quickly allowed me to change the whole theme and make it look and feel like a company's application. For someone who's not designer and new, you can hire freelancer to work in this platform, which I found quite unique and handy for non-designers or people who are looking to outsource. And I think it's actually not a bad tool to try for entrepreneurs and non-designers. However, I think as a designer, and we know that AI is coming to Figma, to get a sense what it might look like in a Figma, I think it's worth trying Uizard. I'll put it in the B tier just because I don't think it was that great, but I think it's pretty good and definitely worth checking. Okay, so the last one is Galileo AI, and I think it's the best one out of all those 5. It was consistent, it was reliable, it was smart, it was easy to edit. You can talk to it and say, oh, I want to change the search bar, and it would actually understand which search bar I'm referring to or which component I'm referring to. I think that's pretty clever, and I hope other competitors will pick this up. On the downsides, it was generating quite general looking UI. I don't know, maybe I need to play with it a bit more to see if it's true. I think it's good for some instances, but not for professional UI, professional interface designers who's doing it as a full-time job. And I think because of that, I will put it in a B tier. However, it's very close to A. It's just the limitations that it has at the moment, or unless, I'm not aware of how to work around them. And I think I put it above above Uizard. But yeah, Galileo is sort of A tier, but I think for the A tier, you need something that is solid, reliable, which Galileo is, but you can't import your component library. You need to export it to Figma. It's easy to export, but it's an extra step. So definitely worth checking. And I think out of all 5 that I've reviewed. Again, Galileo is the best one, and free trial allows you to gives you plenty of credits to experiment with it and get a taste of it. However, yeah, I think the one that definitely worth checking, Galileo AI and Uizard. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.